Husker fans, it's time to dive into that deep pool that is name, image, numbers.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers, 93.7 The Ticket, and Lincoln, Nebraska, coming to you. Lots to talk about with NIL, Transfer Portal. We'll kind of dance down what some other programs are doing and what the needs are for this Nebraska football program. But first, we'll ask Rico, super producer, let them know, please, about FanDuel.
Thanks, DP. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Back to you, TP.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. And again, as we dance through this thing, first of all, let me thank you everydayers, for watching it, for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday. And again, in Lincoln, Nebraska here. Before we get too deep into it, I do want to shout out the women's volleyball team, number one in the country. Today, they will battle Georgia Tech to see if they can advance to the round of 8 for volleyball. Well done, John Cook and company. Couple of things about the football program I want to talk about, and to get into the real of NIL and what it's intended to do, what it's about to do, and then the transfer portal and what are specific needs that need to be addressed. And the two are directly connected. As much as we like to say, there's the operational side of it, right? The operational side of it, and then there's the business side of it, the football functional side of it, and then the football business side of it. And the two have to find a way to meet and be on the same page and agree in what needs are and what wants are. But there are tons of possibilities. And when you talk about, so from the Nebraska standpoint, Nebraska fans and the organization, the administration, the belief is that there are enough resources for Nebraska to do whatever financially needs to be done. Although that has its own bounce back because you have, budgets say what budgets say. But I would make it simple in that Nebraska fans would support, especially the boosters and the higher ups, would support anything that they believed would result in a better product and a better result for Nebraska football. Now, the possibilities are all over the place. And Nebraska has to decide, one, what its focus is. So is the focus, do we know what the budget is? Do we know what finite amount of money is in play? Because that determines the amount of talent that you can go and pursue. And remember this, Nebraska fans are fantastic at reaching out and scanning the scope for available talent. But oftentimes they forget that this has to be a two-sided dance, right? Nebraska can say that it needs a top-level Power 5 quarterback. But to find them, identify them, find them, locate them, get in communication with them, and then get them to agree that Nebraska, as it currently stands, is a place that they want to come and not only share their brand, but build their brand. And that's the part of NIL that sometimes gets missed, is that it becomes a partnership that, well, listen, for everything good that Nebraska offers, Nebraska football offers, there are some things that currently, in its current state, it does not offer. And that's bowl games, extra practices, winning. Look, it's true. So who comes to Nebraska? Who makes that decision? And oftentimes, especially in recent history, what you would say is Nebraska has good intention, but the result hasn't matched the intention. And that then points the finger at decision making? Who's evaluating talent? Are you getting the top dollar for what you're trying to accomplish? And then are the young people that you're bringing into the program good enough for Nebraska to move from 4 and 5 wins to 8 and 9 wins to 10 and 11 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, whatever is in play? And the answer to that currently is no. The answer to that currently is no. So what I'll ask you as a fan, you as a Husker fanatic, where would you put? Now, I know that some of you in your head would go, okay, in my head, Nebraska's the top choice for any football player. There were times in the past where that would have been true. That is not the case now. So where in this spectrum does Nebraska land? It is not in, I think it's fair to say, that it is not currently in the Georgia, Alabama scope side of things. So if you're an available top-level quarterback, one, you have to determine what it is that you're looking for. What are you looking for? And if you're top talent, like you're already proven that you are a top talent, like you have resume and a Power 5 that you can deliver the goods, you can deliver the mail on a regular and consistent basis. There are folks that you can, Will Howard, Cam Ward, if you go through and you look at their numbers and the numbers say, well, yeah, you can go to Washington State and put up 25 and 7, that you've proven that you are, in fact, a baller and that you have greater value. But then is that player willing to leave the place that they are? So if we're talking about Washington State, is Washington State's program in a better place than Nebraska's as far as winning games? And then you have to say, from resources and otherwise, okay, in the grand scope, but also remember that everybody else who needs a quarterback, a top-tier quarterback in the country, everybody, and quite frankly, that's the majority, that's 90% of programs have to look at the quarterback and go, I'm not sure if I've got the best guy for the job. Literally, I ask you, how many programs in the country have a quarterback that they're willing to ride with for the next 2 years, period, point blank? It's not as many as you think. It really isn't. And that means that all of those programs are in the pool for elite quarterbacks, for productive quarterbacks. You have to ask the question going in, right? We had the discussion all of last year. Where did Jeff Sims rank? Where did Heinrich Haarberg rank? Where did Chubba Purdy rank when it came to quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference? And it went all over the place. And we said, well, listen, he was in the bottom half. They were all in the bottom half. The search for talented players is happening. It's going on. But there is also a search for quality programs to join. And the student athletes are now in a position to make a decision on who represents their brand as much as who they're willing to share their brand with. That is the conversation. We'll go to break and come back. Where would you put Nebraska's program? Where's the Nebraska football program? In this whole spectrum of available football programs, where does Nebraska rank? Because that will give you a pretty good idea of the type of quarterback, the type of running backs, the type of receivers Nebraska will be able to get in through the transfer portal. We don't have to have all the answers, but we're going to get to the right questions here on Locked On Huskers. Welcome back, Gang DP here, Locked On Huskers again. Thank you for joining you every day. Thank you very much for what you do, your Huskers every day here on Locked On Huskers. Rico, super producer, kind sir, would you please let them know about PrizePicks?
Thanks, DP. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, the player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for your first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege for your first deposit match up to $100. Back to you, TP.
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. And again, if you have not subscribed to get the content, again, we'll probably be in the 20 shows this month range over the course of the next few weeks, and we will cover the wide range of transfers in, transfers out, NIL deal, and there's more information that's becoming available, the future of NIL and Transfer Portal, because that's a conversation that's developing and forming. But in this particular segment, I want to get into where does Nebraska rank, right? That if you're going to rank Nebraska, if you rank the team, and again, I keep talking about the team versus the program, the program's potential is in a much higher place than the team's production. Nebraska as a program, with its resources, its spectacular fan base, it's look, if you've ever been in Lincoln, Nebraska on a college football game day, you have a full understanding, and that's why Nebraska feels like if they can get people to Lincoln, Nebraska for the first time, that it opens the door to them wanting to be here. The perceptions of Lincoln, Nebraska versus the reality of Lincoln, Nebraska. I could speak to that as an outsider who moved in, and I can tell you that what moved me, right? The things that were appealing are also the things that will absolutely grate on your nerves. Because if it's going well, it's spectacular. You love the fan base. You love the attention. You love the social media engagement. You love the resources and you love the access. And then when it doesn't go well, which in this program it has not for the past 5 years, 5 years plus, then those things become agitating and becomes friction. Again, not speaking for student athletes, but I can tell you in conversations with the last 5 rosters, that a part of why they came is also part of why they would leave or part of why they would not come. So you have to be aware of the masses and you have to be aware of the energy that's put into place. But where would you put? I would say playing at Memorial Stadium in front of the Sea of Red on any given home football, college football Saturday would rank in the top 10 experiences. I mean, having been in most college football Saturday environments, I can tell you that it to my heart and to my thinking, to my liking, it's absolutely a top 10 situation. I mean, there are some elite situations to be in. There are some programs that have greater success. There are certainly programs and teams that are having greater production, but the game experience and the fan base itself, look, it's top 10. I would put this fan base, again, the sellout streak is what it is, but it is a statement that listen, it matters. This sport matters. This team, this program matters. And if you're an outsider and this is your football, college football is your thing, you would want to come to the University of Nebraska and be a part of the program. So put Nebraska in the top 10 of places where people would aspire to do what they do. And if you feel confident in the fact that you do what you do and you're going to be a talented football player and you're going to produce, you would want to. There aren't 20 more programs that you would choose over Nebraska if it's about the environment, the circumstance, etc. Then it becomes a matter of the team, what the team is doing. Then it becomes about coaches and coordinators and group coaches, and then it becomes a matter of teammates and success. And then you have to really have to reevaluate where Nebraska is in the ranking, because let's say that you are the top available quarterback in the country, college quarterback in the country. Let's say that's you, but you're not from Nebraska, right? look outward into college football and think of all the places that, if all things are equal, where would you go to put your talent and have the most success and the best student athlete experience? And that's where you start to have to, okay, Nebraska, this is kind of where you are. It's a little bit different, right? Because if you can play, you want to play with the best. You want to play around the best. You want to learn from the best. You want to play in the biggest ball games. You want to be on TV. You want to enhance your brand. You want to enhance your name, image, and likeness. You want to change your location and elevation. You want to do those things. So, of all the schools that you would pick, Nebraska fans have to walk in understanding where they stand. Not where they want to be, but where they currently stand. And then remember that quarterback, has the options of 133 top flight programs. And if that were the case, what would you choose? Well, that's what the student athletes are going through currently. And then it becomes a matter of money. And Matt Rhule spoke definitively about what the cost of a Power 5 top-level quarterback. And again, we're talking about elite, and then we're talking about really good, great, and then really good, and then good enough, right? I don't know if Nebraska gets an elite quarterback. The Casey Thompson pull for me was kind of the apex. I thought, wow, well done. Well done. I thought that was shooting your shot to the highest level that you could shoot it. Getting Trey Palmer, like getting Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer, that's a deal. But I'm not sure that is Nebraska ever going to pull an NIL receiver of Trey Palmer's caliber ever again. Is Nebraska going to pull a Casey Thompson quarterback, right? Ever again? Like, that's a high shoot. That's a high risk, high reward. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. That's why we're having this conversation. As I said this in leading this thing, it's one thing to think that we will know the answers. Only Matt Rhule knows the answers about what he thinks his pool range is and what his short. I won't speak for Matt Rhule, but I can speak for some athletes that I talk to from around the country. And the other side of this thing is that Nebraska has to want the athlete that's good for them, and the athlete that's good for them also has to want Nebraska. And that is a pool, and that is fishing in a big spot, man. That is asking a lot. I know some players that would love to play for the University of Nebraska. And I can tell you that, I mean, they're the caliber of what they've had, and I can also tell you that they didn't want much money. But Nebraska has to want them the same way they want Nebraska, and vice versa. But that is NIL, and that is the transfer portal. I'll ask the question when we come back, because there's so much to this. But is this working for college football, and is it working? Can it work for Nebraska? NIL and the transfer portal, is it working? Can it work for college football and for Nebraska? We'll talk about that when we come back and finish up Locked On Huskers. Hey gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers, and again, I thank you for hanging out with me. And as I said, I don't have all the answers. I am simply trying to get to the right questions. And I'll ask you. You can put comments down in the comment section and let me know in response. But is it working? Is it working? Can it work? Should it work? What's required for it to work? Right? Getting Casey Thompson, getting Trey Palmer, I would think that, again, with O'Shawn Mathis coming here and then going to the NFL, so it's a thing, right? And that from this year's group, does it work for Nebraska? Now, Jeff Sims is the image, example, and North Star for how we're looking at it, because I would think that as much as the people on the roster say what a fantastic human being Jeff Sims is, what a great teammate, what a great, all of that, that there's a portion of the fan base that does not think that bringing in Jeff Sims got the desired results. Now, I don't know if bringing in Jeff Sims, if the target was 5 wins, but that's literally the question, isn't it? That if what you did in your offseason, if the mission wasn't for you to win 5 games, then can you deem it successful? And then to piggyback that, to have Matt Rule say, well, listen, this is a complete rebuild. Well, whoa. Is that what we thought? Is that what we were expecting? Because it changes the thinking and it changes the conversation. I'm not sure that all of Husker Nation, I could say some of it is fully on board with, you know what, take as long as you need to take. But there are those that, no, they want to win, and they want to win now. And then you have to ask from a development standpoint, how long does it take? How long will it take to win? Well, we don't know. That's the real answer, is that we don't know. It can work. It has worked for other programs. My hope is that Nebraska gets on board with a consistent idea and an agreement, one, in telling folks the exact standing of things, right? That, listen, don't expect us to go out and beat Michigan, and et cetera. Don't expect us to go out and win the Big Ten. And remember, you've got new folks coming to the party, so, and there won't be a Big Ten West, so you're either gonna fall where you fall. You're going to add USC, you're going to add UCLA to the opponents. So remember that you're also recruiting. Not only are you recruiting against Michigan, against Ohio State, against Penn State, against Wisconsin, now you're recruiting against USC, UCLA, Washington. Like, just want to point out, the pool gets deeper and the sharks get bigger. Some would say that it would bring in better talent. Some will say, I'm going to sit and wait, and let's see what it is. This thing can work. My hope is that it does work. But we'll continue to ask questions in this offseason that is Husker football. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We'll close with the 3 words we love so much. No Big Red.